the record. So welcome everyone to the first InnoHive event of 2024. And for those of you who've been regulars at our sessions in the past, you'll know the name has actually evolved. So previously we talked knowledge nuggets, and now we've got InnoHive by Ideas UK, ably joined and supported by the Innovation Network. So what we're hoping is this new name really encapsulates the essence of that collective growth of collaboration, engagement, empowerment, and enlightenment, the real ethos of Ideas UK. Kind of the way we've come up with this is splitting that word up. Inno clearly relates to innovation, representing our core objective of these sessions, fostering that culture of continuous learning, creativity, and fresh thinking. Hive very much echoes the collective nature of you, our network, that collaborative spirit where we can share insights and experiences together. And hopefully, these sessions, as we go throughout the year, will serve as a really fertile ground for creating a dynamic learning ecosystem open to all our members where knowledge is shared. So, if there's a topic you'd particularly like to see, or there's a topic that you'd like to speak on, then please do get in touch. We would love to hear from you. And we've really already started creating our program for 2024. So obviously we're all here today, but in February, we'll be looking at innovation in action. So having one of our member organizations share their experiences around innovation and how they operate their program. In March, we're looking at innovation to deliver kind of great customer experience. So slightly different tact and looking at it from the legal sector and how they approach innovation, as I say, to put their customers at the center of everything they do. And then in April, we're looking again at challenge-driven innovation. So some top tips to make your programs really sparkle this year. For those of you who haven't as yet had time to check out our new website, Ideas UK did launch a new website back in November. So do have a look at our kind of new site, www.ideasuk.com. And within the site, you will find our training page, which is the one element I wanted to highlight today. And training is very much a passion of mine. And whilst Ideas UK, we've always offered bespoke training courses and, mentoring and coaching, we did think it might be easier to kind of offer packages that you could kind of see the kind of things that we do. So we've created 10 courses so far, which can be taken as standalone sessions or complete learner journeys. And our courses include everything from training your evaluators, subject matter experts, your champions, through to practitioner courses, how to sell your ideas, and how to really use your emotional intelligence to fuel your innovation engine. So as you're creating your training plans for this year, do get in touch with us. But that's enough from me, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Connor Wakefield from the Innovation Network, who, having attended and delivered these sessions before, is a whiz on the best apps and websites to enhance collaboration. So over to you, Connor.
All
And
right.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Brilliant. Thanks so much for having me. So yeah, my name's Connor. I'm from the Innovation Network. So in my daily role, usually I am a innovation facilitator. What that entails is I usually run workshops with maybe groups of senior leaders and students, things like that. And we sort of go through decision-making tools and yeah, make some rapid decisions together. This, however, is my tech safari. It's my little hobby that I do. Okay, I did my first one at the very start of the pandemic. And Zena, can you believe it? It's been, I think, the fourth one. This is the fourth iteration, my fourth tech safari. It's been such a long time since the start of the pandemic. And guys, what I do every year is I just go through all of these sort of tech tools at the start of the year, and I decide which ones I think you need to sort of kick off your year right. Okay, so there's some really clever software out there, some really clever tools, AI, obviously, a big thing in the last 2 years. And this is just my sort of roundup of what you might want to consider using in 2024. Okay. So this is rapid fire. Okay, we have to go really quick because I've got so many tools in this text safari. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of starter information. What I recommend you do is if you see one that looks interesting, okay, write it down. That way you can give it a Google and give it a try. Most of these, I think all of these are, you can use them sort of free. Okay, so you can get going free. I've really picked ones which you can sort of grab and go and use very quickly. Okay. What I will say is we don't have too much time for interaction, okay, because it is so rapid fire. However, get talking to each other in chat, okay? So if I say any of these and you've used it before, or they just sound really interesting to you, okay, put those thoughts into chat, okay? It's really good to sort of get other people's opinions on things. So I'm sure everyone will be reading along as I talk through these. So if you do have any thoughts, put them in chat and sort of have that conversation as we go, okay? But without further ado, we need to get going. These are split into different sections, okay? So this one is the online collaboration tools, okay? So this one really was spurred on at the start of the pandemic, okay? Back then, we couldn't go into the office, we couldn't see each other, we couldn't sort of work together the way that we normally do. And I'd say these are the tools that sort of really took off back then. Again, a lot of them are still around now because they do offer quite a bit. Okay, but these ones are really useful if you can't see your teammates. Okay, if you can't get into the same room, these ones are sort of in replace of that room, and sort of make it feel like you're working together. Okay. All right, so the first online collaboration tool is, can you guess it, Miro, okay? Anyone who knows me knows that Miro is secretly my favorite collaboration tool, okay? It's no lie at this point. I used to try and hide it. I'm not really gonna hide it anymore. Miro, I use it for absolutely everything, okay? Most people know that. I use it for CRM stuff, okay? I use it for note-taking. I use it for calendaring. Absolutely anything, I use Miro. What it is essentially just a huge piece of digital real estate, okay, a massive whiteboard, and you can sort of make it your own, okay? Your world is your oyster. So you're putting down sticky notes, you're putting down shapes, there's some templates you can use, and you can really just organize things the way that you want it because it is just a wide piece open place for you to put things, okay? Other teammates can jump on, so you can do this remotely with a load of other people. And yeah, it's just really useful. I use it so much, I've actually got it on my other screen, and that's where all of my notes for this talk is. Okay, so that's how much I use Miro. I use it for absolutely everything. Okay, Miro's biggest competitor though is Mural. Okay, so Mural does pretty much the same thing. Okay, it's a huge piece of real estate, a massive whiteboard, and you are putting down sticky notes and things like that. Okay. Now, the thing about Mural is I would say it's slightly more bare bones, okay? Sounds bad, it's not necessarily is, because I would say that it runs slightly faster. I'd say that's probably the biggest selling point over Miro, okay? Miro is a little bit bulky at this point because they have added so many features. So I find that Mural does generally work better, especially if a lower end laptop or something like that. Okay. The minus then is you do then miss out on those features that Miro have. Okay, there's less export options. There's less sort of types of things that you can put onto the board. So there isn't quite as much you can do, but it's a really, really good sort of second option. Okay, so that's Mural. Next, you've got MindMeister. Okay, so we're coming out of those. We're coming out of the digital whiteboards. Okay, and this is its own sort of tool. So this is purely for making mind maps. Okay, so mind maps, you know how they work. You go from one cloud, you sort of go to another cloud, etc., etc. And you make this giant sort of spider diagram. That's the alternative name, right? So this is just a really simple tool to let you do that, okay? It's just adding those little bubbles onto each other, okay? And the sort of key selling point of this is it's so simple, obviously the two whiteboard tools we saw before, they require a little bit more learning. There's a few more sort of keyboard shortcuts and things like that. The thing about MindMeister is you can use it purely with just tab and enter. Okay, so press tab and it makes a new bubble. You hit enter and you sort of finish off that bubble, and you can sort of just do it like that. So you can imagine if you're in a meeting and you get fairly good at MindMeister, okay, you can make these spider diagrams just hitting tab and enter, and you can just write down all of your thoughts, and they'll just become second nature. Okay, so that's MindMeister. The next one, sprint base. Okay, so sprint base. This one is kind of going to take my job. Okay, me and Zena were talking just before this about, and Helen were talking about how AI is going to take quite a few roles and responsibilities away from jobs. Well, as an innovation facilitator, sprint base is sort of does what I do essentially, right? What it is, it's a platform. When you go onto it, it's going to take you through a design thinking process. Okay, which usually you'd hire me for, but if you don't want to hire a Connor, then Sprint Base is there, and it's going to take you step by step through that double diamond, through a design thinking sprint, and it's a guided process, and it does that via video. Okay, so you're going to fill out one template, it's going to give you a video and tell you how to fill out the next one, and so on and so on, until you've completed that design thinking process. Okay. So it does have some whiteboard elements to it. Okay, so it's like little mini Miros, one after the other, with those videos in between. This is a really, really good one if you do want to sort of get going with design thinking or some different sort of agile processes. Okay, it's a really good starting point. Really recommend it. Going on to the next one then, we've got Figma. So Figma is a prototype maker at its core, okay? There is now FigJam, okay? So they're trying to take over the Murals and Miros of the world, so check out FigJam as well. But their main bread and butter is Figma, which is their prototype maker, okay? So what it does is it simulates user interface, okay? And it does that through sort of PowerPoint frames. So what you can do is you can mock up some apps. Okay, so you can mock up like an app interface, and you can say this button, I want this to lead to this frame, etc., and etc. Okay, and then what you end up with is a sort of a simulated mock user interface. Okay, so Lean Startup, if anyone's ever heard of that. What that would dictate is instead of finding your app developer freelance and paying them a gazillion pounds, before you take that step, when you have that amazing sort of app idea, maybe jump on Figma, make the user interface, test it with some people. Okay, and if it's a real hit when you go into your user tests, then maybe we can consider purchasing a developer and making this a real thing. Okay. And there's actually professional Figma developers, believe it or not. And the thing about Figma is, it can look so good that often the Figma user interface can look better than the real thing. Okay, so that's almost the pitfall, I would say, in a way, is sometimes you can be a little bit disappointed with the end app because it doesn't look as good as your prototype. That's sort of where we are with Figma these days. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. If you are interested in making an app, definitely check out Figma. It's a big one. All right, going on to Butter. So we used to, back in the day, have all of the video call conferencing software. So we used to have Zoom, Teams, BlueJeans, things like that. But obviously, everyone sort of picks their video conferencing tool nowadays. Okay, we've after the pandemic, we all know which call software we use. But I've decided to keep Butter in because I do think it has its own use case over things like Zoom and Teams on its own sort of special occasions. Okay, because what it is essentially fun Zoom. Okay, Zoom's fun cousin. So what that entails is it works exactly like Zoom, where we'd be talking to each other like how we are now. However, it does have it's got a slightly more interesting look about it. Okay, I'd call it a vibe. It's got quite a good vibe about it because it's got some built-in music, it's got some soundboards, some polls. Okay, it's essentially just added some really interesting, fun stuff to the video call experience. Okay. And this was sort of built for workshops. Okay, so what I do, workshops, It integrates with Miro, so you can use Miro actually within the call conferencing software instead of having to sort of do dual screen like you do on Teams and Zoom. That's sort of its original use case. Okay, but I'd say these days people use it when they want a sort of different video call experience. Okay, there's lots of integrations with it. And yeah, it's just it's its own sort of experience. So you'd have to check it out. But a really good one if you want to break away from the sort of slightly boring, Zoom and Teams, which we're all used to. Okay, next one, you've got Otter AI. Okay, so Otter AI, really simple. What this is for is you essentially plug this into your Zoom, your Teams, okay, and it is just going to log what everyone has said, okay? So, if this is a meeting right now, if I start talking, it'll actually recognize my voice and it'll say, okay, Connor said this. And then if Helen has a point and she says something, then it's going to recognize that's Helen. And we're going to create this sort of chat log and you'll know who said what in text format, okay? So it sort of retrospectively makes you a script of that meeting, okay? So it works really simply. You get 600 minutes free a month of this, okay, on the sort of free plan, which I think is quite generous. And yeah, it's as simple as I just sort of stated. You just plug it into Zoom, plug it into Teams, and it's just going to record all of your meetings so that you have that written log of everything, okay? Really useful. All right, so we're now on the communication category. Okay, so communication, how do we communicate to our team members? Um, you know, getting those mission critical points across, having those little chats with people. What's the most efficient way to do that, right? Back in the old days, we used to go into the office and have those water cooler talks. Can we replace that with some sort of digital tools and things? And what's the most efficient way to communicate with your team? So the first one I've got here, Slack. I'm sure a lot of you already use Slack. Okay, it's the Google and Teams haven't quite taken over this market yet. Okay, Slack is still standing strong. And what Slack is all it is. It's just a sort of communication hub. Okay, so I use Slack personally for my company. And we all jump on Slack and we can chat to each other about what we need to do that day. We can call each other. There's something called huddles, where sort of like a sort of group call, and you can sort of hang out in a huddle for as long as you want, and that's quite interesting. But what the core of it is it works in different channels. Okay, so instead of having that massive WhatsApp group chat, if anyone's ever tried to use Messenger or WhatsApp, and you try and go back and find different points, it's impossible, right? And that the reason for that is because everything is being said in one chat. Okay, so the sort of key to being able to go back and search for things, especially when there's a lot of messages being sent, is splitting things up into channels. Okay, so on Slack you split things up into different channels. You might have a department, so you might have a HR channel, sales channel. It might be based on projects. Okay, so you might have this big client, that big client, and you can really just start to split up that communication so it doesn't all get entrenched into the one big WhatsApp chat and you can't quite see what's going on. Okay, so it's just basically divide and conquering your communication, and that makes it really easy to go back and see what people have said, and makes communication very clear. So Slack, a really good one. However, what was Microsoft's answer to Slack? And that was Microsoft Teams. Okay, so I've still got Teams in here. I'm not talking about the conferencing tool. Okay, we all know that we can call each other from Teams. However, what some people don't know is that it's sort of got a back end where you can use it like Slack. Okay, so if you actually open that Teams app on your computer, not just receive calls from it, you'll see that there's some sort of like Slack channels. There's places where you can just message each other. Okay, so we don't have to do everything on Outlook. On if you're a Microsoft user, you don't have to just use email. I'm sure that person you are emailing on a daily basis is on your Teams. Okay, so open up Teams, look for their name. It should be on the left panel, and you can just shoot them a message. Okay, and what you'll find is that when you get into that habit, it's very hard to go back to email. Okay, because it is much more easier and sort of slightly more relaxed, right? And easy to keep that communication channel. So if you are sort of on Teams, you're using Teams, don't just use it for video conferencing. Definitely open up Teams and try out that chat functionality. Okay, it's really good. And just like Slack, it works for those channels. Okay, so you're splitting up all of that communication into different channels to make things really clear and concise. And you can communicate with not just that one person. You can create that sort of group chat full of a few separate people. Okay, so definitely check out Microsoft Teams. And then we've also got Google Meet. Okay, so Google Meet, I wasn't sure which app to put in here. Okay, this is essentially a PSA that Google has its own Slack and Teams. Okay, and it's sort of split up into different things. They used to call it Hangouts. So Hangouts used to encompass everything, but now they've sort of split it up into different apps. Okay, so you've got Google Meet, that's their sort of Zoom, that's their conferencing, you're calling. Okay, you've also got Google Chat as well. Okay, so Google Chat is your place where you can message people outside of emails. Okay, and that's accessed through sort of Gmail. Okay, so essentially all I want to say is, obviously a load of us are Microsoft users, a load of us are Google users. If you are using Google, then you do have all of that functionality where you can message people, you can call people. Okay, there's nothing wrong with Google Meet. I see a load of Google users schedule calls on their Google calendars, and when that sort of default Google Meet comes up, they sort of delete it and they put a Zoom in. Okay, which is fine. I love Zoom. However, Google Meet is actually fine. It works really well. The calls are really stable. You can share your screen, all that good stuff. So definitely don't be afraid of it when it comes up in your Google Calendar. Okay, just click that Google Meet button and you'll have a good call experience. Right, the next one then, Loom. Loom's a really interesting one. It is probably the most simple way to send a video to someone. Okay, so the recommended way that I would use it is to download the Chrome extension. If you're a Chrome user, there is also a Windows app. Okay, but I would say that's slightly less simple to use. But either way, if you're using the Chrome extension, okay, all you got to do is in the top right corner of your browser, you click on that Loom button. Okay, you hit record. Okay, and it's going to record both your webcam and your screen. Okay, and the webcam is in a nice little circle in the bottom left. Okay, then once you're done talking, okay, these are for really casual videos. Once you're done talking, you hit that done button, and really quickly what it does is it'll upload it to its own servers, and it will give you a little link, and it puts it directly onto your clipboard. It's really clever in doing that. Okay, so when you hit Control C, when you copy things, that goes onto your clipboard. Okay, so once you're done with your video, essentially you're ready to paste that link wherever you need to paste it. Okay. So, that's why it's so simple and quick, is because if you quickly need to just tell someone something in a video, okay, instead of you're writing out massive paragraphs, hit record, talk for 6 minutes, hit done, and then just go wherever you need to put it, paste it, and that person instantly has that message of you talking. Okay, it's a really, really efficient way of communicating, especially for things like reviewing things. So if someone sent you some paperwork, you need to put some notes onto it, just hit that Loom button, talk about what needs changing, and you've sent them the feedback in under 10 minutes. Okay, that's why it's so effective. So Loom, definitely not one to miss. I think a lot of people have caught onto it by now, but if you're not using it, definitely do give it a try. And you've got Bonjoro. So Bonjoro does something slightly similar. Okay, it's made for sending video via email. Okay, so you lose a little bit of that simplicity you have with Loom, but this one looks really good. Okay, so it's again recording videos to send to people. Okay, however, you've got a little bit of fancy HTML in the email that you send that video to. Okay, so how that works is you record the video. Okay, and then that will put it into this nice little email where it has your brand. There's some other things you can add, polls, and you can even add a calendar sort of like Calendly, if you've used that, you can have like a sort of meeting calendar request, and it just puts it into a really nice email that looks really nicely branded up and quite professional. Okay, so this is really good for sort of saying personalized thank yous for customers who maybe have bought your product or something like that, or maybe to sort of outreach and set up meetings. Okay, but on the for the end user, they're going to get a really nice email, a nice looking email, with your nice face on a video, and it's going to look really good on their part, um, for you to sort of communicate whatever message you need to communicate, right? So that could be saying thank you, or it could be asking them to join you for a meeting or something like that. But it's a really different way of getting the whole meeting request. I get so many people emailing me asking me, oh, do you want to meet for this, meet for that. If I get a video from someone, I'm probably more likely to say, yeah, okay, I will have a coffee with you. It sort of does make you look a little bit different in quite a competitive landscape when you're doing some outreach. Okay, so Bonjoro, a really good one to look into. All right, so the next one then, we've got artificial intelligence, okay? Artificial intelligence, last year, this was a little bit of a mystery, okay? We were talking about artificial intelligence and nobody really knew what it was, okay? This year, I can say with confidence, we've all heard of artificial intelligence. I'd be a little bit surprised if someone here hadn't used ChatGPT yet, okay? So we're in a little bit of a different landscape, okay? What I was talking to Zena about though is I do feel like we have some steps to make in making artificial intelligence a little bit more user friendly. Okay, because when I went to update this section and put new tools in, what I found is that a lot of them are still using open APIs. That's just tech fancy talk, and Discord servers. Okay, and they're not great for sort of jumping on and using straight away. Okay, so I have a good feeling that in the next tech safari in 2025, I'll be telling you about all of these new AI tools that are now really user friendly to use. But I would say that we're still sort of making strides towards that in 2024. But these are a few that I've picked out which are really user friendly to use. You can jump on, have a go with them, and see what they have to offer. Okay. So the first one, ChatGPT. Okay, so ChatGPT, it broke the record for the amount of people sort of signing up to it on its first couple of weeks that it was released. Okay, record breaking, and then that got broken again. I think from uh, Instagram's answer to Twitter, whatever that was called. I think a lot of people signed up and sort of stopped using that one, so less successful. But ChatGPT, people use it daily now, right? We know so many people who who are obsessed with ChatGPT, and for good reason. It is really useful. Okay, so I use it quite a lot. It's really good for replacing Google. Okay, there's been a lot of criticism about how Google works as a core functionality recently. Okay, so Google back in the old days used to just Google something and it would give you loads of different results and you could pick from them. Nowadays, you use Google and you get loads of sponsored results. There's loads of issues with unrelated articles being brought up. So there's actually quite a vocal community saying that Google aren't doing a great job. And I'd say ChatGPT is really good at getting you some relevant information. So you do have to sort of source check a lot of the ChatGPT stuff because it is an AI bringing this information to you. However, it is really good for picking out some relevant information, right? And if I want to know, oh gosh, how tall Boris Johnson is, I could Google it and look for a load of results and maybe not get the right answer, or I could ask ChatGPT and it's just going to tell me exactly how tall he is really quickly. Okay, so I'm hoping that demonstrates that the use case over Google in a lot of cases. Okay. But all it is you put a prompt in, it gives you some really human-like responses back to you. Okay. And yeah, it's just gonna try and help you out. So it's gonna give you search results if you need them, or it can do things like word phrasing, right? So if you want to write an email, you can say, hey, write an email to Zena, asking her if she's free next week for a meeting, right? It's going to give you quite a professional email that you can then send someone, and it can help you out in that way as well as search results. Okay, so ChatGPT, if you haven't used it, which I'd be surprised that I'm sure there's one or two people in here who still haven't used it. So to one of those one or two people, definitely do go to ChatGPT and give it a go. It's free and it is really interesting what it comes out with. Okay. So give it a whirl. The best way to sort of see its use case is to give it a try, and it'll sort of instantly become recognizable how you can use it. Next one then, Fireflies. This one is a little bit like Otter AI that I talked about a minute ago, with a little bit more of AI sort of slathered on top, okay? So what it's going to do is, like an Otter AI, it's going to transcribe and take notes, okay? However, it's got a little bit of AI sprinkled on top where it's going to identify tasks, okay? So if we had Fireflies linked to this Zoom meeting, and Zena told me that, Connor, you got to get a report back to me next week, okay? Then what Fireflies will do is they'll identify those spoken words in that meeting as a task, and it'll just remind you that you have that task to do, okay? So, no longer will you be telling your minions about missions that they need to do, and they say, oh, you didn't tell me that. Okay, you can go back to Fireflies and you can have a look and have a written sort of proof that you did ask them to do those tasks, and in fact that will be sort of in their calendars to do. Okay, so a really good one to use. And it's also got something called Ask Fred. Okay, so Fred is actually the AI that it uses. Okay, so that's the thing that is dissecting your meetings and having a look at all those tasks. And Ask Fred allows you to, it's just a little search bar, and you can sort of search from all of the meetings that you've had and find some useful information. Okay, so if you did tell someone that one thing 3 weeks ago, you can't quite remember, open up Ask Fred, search from relevant sort of search terms, and you will see in written text, oh yes, that person did tell me this one thing and I need to do that. Okay, so it's really good for sort of jogging your memory about meetings. Okay, really useful one. So going on then, Murph AI. This is natural sort of text to natural voiceover. Okay, so what this is you can upload text files. Okay, and then once you've done that, you can choose from 120 AI voices that sound very human-like, and it's going to convert them into a natural voiceover. Okay, so it works really simply. Yeah, you just upload that text file, select the voice, and it really does sound like it recorded in a studio, right? So this isn't just good for if you aren't quite good at talking into the microphone. This is also good for if your microphone setup isn't all that good, right? So if you do want that sort of really studio sounding voiceover, you might actually opt to use this over your own voice, even if you're very good at talking into a microphone. So yeah, a really good one to check out. That is Murph AI. Yeah,
Connor, I know we're
yeah,
not really taking questions because it's a whistle stop tour,
yeah. Go
but
ahead.
we just have had a quick question around, can you integrate these apps to work as one system?
Oh, sorry. Say that again. Sorry. Oh, can you
Can
integrate the
you,
apps?
yes,
Yeah,
work as
yeah.
one system?
So bonus tool for you. Maybe I should include this, Cena. Maybe I should have its own slide. Zapier. Okay, so Zapier. Um, so not directly, right? So these aren't affiliated with each other as tools, so they're not going to directly influence one another. However, most tools on the internet use things called open AI, open APIs. Okay, and open APIs is kind of like a little open end to the code. Okay, so it's all a load of technical jargon you don't really need to worry about. However, what that allows is for you to use tools like Zapier, okay? And what Zapier will do is it will sort of link these open ends to each other, okay? So definitely check out Zapier, okay? That's spelled Zapier, okay? And what that allows you to do is you can say, let's go back here and say, okay, once I record a Loom video, okay, I then want that to prompt a message in Slack. Okay, so you're adding rules to these programs, and Zapier will sort of just make sure that they get linked in that way. So as an example, I'll record a video in Loom and I'll tell Zapier, okay, once I record a video in Loom, what I want you to do is I want you to add this recording to this Slack channel. Okay, maybe it's a Slack channel based on learning within my company or something like that. And what Zapier will do is it will make sure that once I've recorded a Loom video, the link that it generates will get put onto that Slack channel without me having to do anything. Okay. And that's using those open APIs. So I record the Loom, that then gets put onto the Slack channel, and all of a sudden I've got a sort of automated learning program within my company, right? And you can use that for anything, right? You can say, once I send an email, put this on my calendar. Once I, if pretty much any of these, it really does work. So yeah, you can create any sort of rule set that you want, okay, on Zapier, and it's just going to link these together, make them sort of work one after the other in that sort of flow diagram format, okay. So yeah, if you want more information on that, definitely do hit me up after this talk. So I'm on LinkedIn. Zena will give you my email. However, yeah, I can talk all day about open APIs and how you can link these together. It is really interesting and really worth looking into. It can be a little bit daunting to try out, but it's well worth it, and it is getting easier every day with the sort of user interface strides that they're making. So yeah, great question. Thank you for that, Zena. Brilliant. Right, so going on from Murph AI, we've got Looker. So Looker is going to AI sort of generate you some branding, okay? So generate you some nice looking branding. It's going to generate a logo for you, okay? So how this works is you'll say the company name, okay? So if you've got that new startup idea, think of a name of it, plug it into Looker AI. Okay, it's going to ask you a couple more questions about that company, and really quickly, it's going to give you some brand colors. It's going to give you a logo, and a few different things like headers and stuff like that. Okay, it's just going to create your entire brand just from your company name and a few little questions that it asks you. Okay. So the branding is going to be perfect. You're probably going to want to make tweaks to it, right? But when you're creating a new company, you've got a lot on your plate there. You got to do a lot of stuff. You got to make a website, etc. So maybe you just want to grab a branding, and just give it a whirl, right? Lean startup, rapid experiments. Just try out your new startup, see if people are interested, and if you do get a little bit of traction, then you can sort of update that branding, make it look a little bit nicer. But if you want to go really quickly at really rapid speed, which I'd recommend that you probably should if you're doing a startup, then Looker might just be your best friend in doing that. Okay. Right, the next one, clean voice. So this is just going to clean up your voice. Okay, so if you do have recordings and you do a lot of ums, a lot of ahs, a lot of stuttering, okay, this is just going to simply take that recording and edit all of that out. Okay, it doesn't have okays yet, which is my personal kryptonite. I say okay too much. However, I'm hoping that will get there. But either way, if you do some some ahs, some pauses, this is going to clean up all of that and give you a nice sounding recording by the end of it. Okay. Now that I've said that, I say okay a lot. Not all of you will not be able to unhear it now. So I look forward to that. And then my last one in artificial intelligence is originality AI. Okay, so this is the AI for it's kind of like the anti-AI, okay, in a way. This is going to be able to detect what is AI and what isn't AI, okay? So while you can use ChatGPT to do all of your emails and all that useful stuff, so can your students, so can the idea submitters, Zena, right? So can all these people, right? And they can start sending you loads of AI, and maybe it's something like a school project where you want it to come from the person. You don't want them to be sort of cheating in a way and using these sort of ChatGPT tools. Okay, in that case, you might want to use something like Originality AI to sort of detect whether they have used ChatGPT. Okay, it comes in Chrome extension format. So all it is you can sort of highlight some text, right click, and there's an option there saying check for AI, and it gives you a percentage based on how likely it is to be AI or not. Okay, really simple. And yeah, it could just be your best friend in making sure that stuff is written by humans and not robots, if that is required for that task. Okay, so might be useful depending on your use case on this one. All right, so going on then. Um, oh, so there's an AI for that. This is just a database of AIs. Okay, so I've rattled off a few to you. However, go on to, there's an AI for that. Just Google it, and there's a whole list of AIs that are available to you. Okay, so if you are AI hungry, you want to see what AIs are out there, just go to there's an AI for that, and you can see a whole list of them. There's absolutely loads that you can just delve into. Okay, right. Next one, project management. Okay, I'm going to go through this one really quick because we don't have too much time left, but I think a lot of them are quite self-explanatory. Okay, so these are just tools for project management. So you've got Asana. Okay, so Asana is your real sort of bread and butter. A lot of people say it's the best project management tool out there. And all it is it's just going to really keep track of your team members, your tasks. You can assign different tasks to different team members, and it's going to record all of that in Asana. A lot of people swear by it, but it is your very basic project management tool, and it does it sort of really well. Okay, so there's not many complaints about Asana. It's probably the king of project management at the minute. Going on then, we've got Trello. Okay, so if anyone used Kanban, okay, Kanban is used in a lot of agile frameworks. Kanbans is just moving cards from sort of one column to another. Okay, sounds very simplistic. Okay, but it's very, very powerful if you use it on a very consistent basis. Okay. So yeah, just list with draggable cards, and you can sort of do that classic, to do, doing, done. That's the sort of classic way of using Trello, right, as a project management tool. But you can use it for even more stuff like that. Okay, you can use it for sort of CRM, so you've got that sort of customizability there. So you can do sort of, to contact, contacted, follow up. You can make those columns to create flows and then really sort of track them using the cards. Okay, so Kanban, that's its own sort of thing. So if you haven't heard that word before, Kanban, start doing some googling on that, and just know that Trello is there as the sort of best tool to use Kanbaning. Okay, it's a really good one. So next one then, we've got Airtable. So Airtable, to put it really simply, this is just the project management tool for people who are obsessed with Excel and spreadsheets. Okay, so if you do like that sort of spreadsheet format, maybe you're using Excel as a project management tool at the minute, which is absolutely fine. You might want to consider Airtable, because all it is project management tool for recording all of that data, tasks, team members, things like that. But it's going to give you it in a really user-friendly, nice Excel spreadsheet format. Okay. So there's lots of different field types, and you can visualize it in different ways. Okay, so once you have filled out that spreadsheet, you've got gallery view, you've got calendar views, things like that. So maybe if your boss isn't as in spreadsheets as you are, you can sort of show them in different visualization formats, and you can actually just show them maybe the calendar, and that's much easier for them. Okay, but if you do like spreadsheets and you need a project management tool, consider Airtable. The next one then is Monday. Okay, this one more similar to Asana, is fairly basic. The interesting thing about Monday is it works in pulses. Okay, and pulses, you can sort of use them however you want. Okay, so it's very customizable. So you sort of define what a pulse is, and you define how you want to process them. Okay, so if you really want to get in some customized, your own sort of tailored experience of a project management tool, then check out Monday and see what that has to offer. You might need to watch a couple of YouTube videos to get your head around it. Once you do have your head around it, which won't take too long, it could become your best friend. Okay. So that's Monday. And then the next one is Toggle Plan. Okay. So if Airtable is project management for spreadsheets, then this one is your project management if you really like Gantt charts. Okay. So this is essentially just a really nice user-friendly way of using Gantt charts. Okay, it's all timeline based. It's very hassle-free. It's really easy to look at. If any of you have used that sort of old, I forgot what it's called. There's a Microsoft program for doing Gantt charts. It's like a Microsoft old project manager. I had to use it back in the day for a uni project. I'd say Toggle Plan. It looks a lot better than that, and it feels a lot better than that. It's just a really, really easy way of doing Gantt charts. So if you are doing Gantt charts in Excel or other Microsoft programs, definitely I'd recommend checking out Toggle Plan. Okay. Next one, Bonusly. Okay, so I read a statistic the other day that something like 70% of employees like aren't engaged in any job, right, or fully engaged. So Bonusly is sort of there to sort of try and to counteract that. Okay, what it is it's just a rewards platform, okay, with a little bit of a step further. So I'm sure few of you are aware of, those rewards platforms where if you're employed by this company, you get discounts and things like that. This one sort of makes those dependent on your performance in a way, okay. So if people are performing really well, then they might get trips out. They might get all these sort of bonuses on top of their salary, and it's just sort of going to motivate them to do better. Okay. But what it does is it plugs into Slack, it plugs into Teams. You can track how everyone's doing based on what tasks they get complete. Like I said, those people are doing really well. They might get some bonuses, and then you've got those analytics. So people who aren't quite as engaged, you can then have that tough conversation. See if there's anything you can do about that. So it's sort of giving incentive whilst giving you a lot of measurement, a lot of analytics for you to manage people and how they're doing. Okay, it's a really good platform to do that with. Okay, so that's Bonusly. The next one then is Hey Orca. Hey Orca, it's a lot like Hootsuite. Okay, that's the sort of big alternative. I quite like Hey Orca, however. Okay, and this is going to allow you to schedule social media posts, okay, and get out a lot of content. Okay, so if you do have a sort of monthly post that you need to do, or you have like maybe even daily posts, then you can get Hey Orca and you can line up all of your social media posts. And what's nice about it is that there's content approval. Okay, so you can actually send that to your boss and they can really easily give it the green light or put down some feedback for you to sort of change. And then that way you can get the social media posts going really quickly. Okay, so this is good from if you're doing the content, you can get feedback really quickly. This is really good also for if you have freelancers doing your social media, because they can really easily get your approval or get your feedback. Okay. Next one then, Notion. So Notion at its core is a note-taking app, okay, but it sort of became so much more. So this is probably the best tool for creating knowledge bases, okay? So like the old school sort of intranets, okay? Notion is really good for that, for making a knowledge base of all of your stuff, okay? And there's loads of templates you can use and stuff like that for it, okay? Notion, you can dive as far in as you want. Okay, you can actually use it as a project management tool with the right sort of setup. A lot of people swear by Notion and just use Notion for absolutely everything. Okay, or you can use it as that simple note-taking app. It's really as much as you want to get out of it. Okay, there's professional Notioners that will make you your knowledge base for you and do all of those fancy templates. That sort of shows you how far Notion can go. But I'd recommend just opening up, using it as a note-taking app, and if it clicks with you, then you might want to look into how to do all that other fancy stuff with it. Okay. Right, online productivity. We're going to wheel through this one as well. So the first one, Todoist, really simply, that's just for taking to-dos, okay? Really robust, really simple. It's going to allow you to put all of your to-dos in one place and sort of look at their statuses and get them all done. The next one then is Pocket. This one's quite an interesting one. You can save articles for later in your Pocket, okay? If we all come across these articles we want to read, we don't have time to read the articles. There's just a little button, you can send it to your Pocket. They're all there for you to sort of find later. And yeah, really good for just managing those, okay? Comes in Chrome extension, and it's owned by Firefox. So if you have the Firefox browser, it is actually there by default, okay? So that's a good one. Next one, Google Keep. So Google Keep is actually my favorite note-taking app, okay? You can actually see through this phone how it sort of looks still, and it's just Google's note-keeping app. It sort of is structured sticky notes. So whereas Miro, you can put sticky notes absolutely anywhere and overlap them. On this one, it's very grid-based, right? It's just adding one sticky note, adding another, and you've just got a list of sticky notes in a nice visual way. It looks a lot nicer than the default Notes app you find on phones. Okay, so that default Notes app on the iPhone app, quite ugly. Google Keep, it's going to be much nicer to look at and quite a bit easier to keep your ideas in there. It's a good one for sort of translating to other things. Next one, Focus Me. Focus Me pretty much has saved my productivity. Okay, how this works is you download it onto your computer, you put some rules in place. So you might not want to go on Twitter from 9 to 5, okay, in your workday, and it's going to make sure that you cannot do that. Okay, and you can lock it down as much as you want. Okay, so me personally, a little bit of a YouTube addict, I'm not going to lie. So I've locked down YouTube on my computer, and only my girlfriend has the password. Okay, so I cannot get to YouTube unless I beg my girlfriend for the password if I really need it. But other than that, I've absolutely no temptations because I know that I can't get on it. Okay, works with programs as well. So if you're video games, any sort of programs that are outside the browser, and websites. So really set up those rules. Just a word of warning: if you forget the password or anything like that, you'll need to call their customer support because it really does put your computer in lockdown. So do be wary with using it. Newsfeed Eradicator. This is actually a Chrome extension, okay, but I think it's really important. If you download it, it's going to take just the newsfeed away from social media, okay? So Facebook, if you want the messages, you want the events, but you want to get rid of that newsfeed, which I would say has gotten worse over the years, then definitely download Newsfeed Eradicator and you will not see that newsfeed anymore. In fact, you'll see an inspirational quote instead. So that's a really good one. You got Brain FM. So Brain FM, that's just focus playlists that are always running in the background. Okay, so what I find is when I'm using focus music, if I'm using sort of Spotify, then I'm going to be changing tracks a lot, and that track doesn't quite sit right with me, so I'm always going back to Spotify. Brain FM is sort of designed to counteract that. Okay, you set a playlist, it's gonna keep running, and they all flow into each other. There's no lyrics. You can just be confident when you play it that you're not going to have to go and change the track or anything like that. Okay, and it's all supposedly quite science-based. Science-first approach. It should be really good for you to be sort of focusing. Next one, Evernote. Really simple note taking. Okay. It's as simple as that, really. It's very robust. It's a bit more organized than Google Keep. Okay, so you can keep a lot of things in folders. You actually have different notebooks. Okay, so you can sort of start to compartmentalize a lot of the information that you want to note down. That way, when you go to make that video, you can go into your video making notebook, which has video number 24 in, and find the notes that you've recorded for that. Okay, so just a little bit more of an organized, structured approach to note taking. Next one, then we've got Motion. So Motion is actually a little bit of AI. All it is you give it all of your tasks that you need to do, okay? And it is going to use AI to plug those in into your calendar around what you already have, okay? So if I was using Motion and I have a few things to do today, it's going to say, okay, well, we know Connor has an Ideas UK talk from 10 o'clock 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So let's fit in his tasks around that, okay? And it's going to do that for as many meetings that I have, as much that I need, okay? If you skip anything, it's just going to reorganize things with the AI, okay? So super simple, it's just plugging in your tasks and that is going to sort of plan your day for you, okay? And Zena, for sake of time, I'm just going to skip over the email ones. I think we'll just go to the lightning round. The email section, there's just a few ones in here. I'll just quickly go on to Calendly. Calendly, if you're not using Calendly, this is a really good link that you can send people, and they can send you meeting requests and schedule meetings really easily, right? So instead of that email back and forth, when are you available? When am I available? God forbid there's more people, which I'm sure there are, really difficult to navigate. Calendly is going to be your best friend because everyone just punches in what calendar time works for them, and it's going to automatically get the call in for everyone. Okay, so we will skip over the section, but I will say Calendly, if you're not using Calendly, give it a try. That's probably the most worthwhile one there. Okay. And then the last one then is the lightning round. So these are really quick sort of Chrome extensions, things like that. I'm going to give you these really, really quickly, okay? Because they're all very, very self-explanatory. So are you ready? Let's go. Chrome extension. So color grab, that is something you put onto Chrome. You click on that Chrome extension, and any color that I click will then go onto my color palette. Okay, so no more trying to guess the color or anything like that. You click on that Chrome extension, you click on a color, and you have that exact color that you can copy and paste anywhere. Okay, really useful. Stay focused, that is just like that focus me one I told you about, but in Chrome's extension format, so not as locked down. However, it can sort of shut down websites and things like that you don't want to be distracted by. Okay, if you are a chronic procrastinator, it's really easy to uninstall it, so you might want to use Focus Me for a more locked down version. Speechify, that is a Chrome extension you can download, highlight any piece of text, right click, and it will read it out to you aloud. Okay, so it's just text to speech in a really simple format on Chrome. And then you've also got there the Great Suspender. Okay, so the Great Suspender, super easy. It's just going to run in the background, and if you do create too many tabs for your computer to handle, which I know a lot of people do, then the Great Suspender is just going to suspend those tabs. Okay, it's going to pause them from doing any background, and you can really save computer processing power. Okay, so it's just going to make your computer run better by making sure that tabs aren't being used. Okay, to put it really simply. I've then got some websites. Okay, so websites, undraw.co, some beautiful illustrations, okay, that you can actually customize. So Zena's give the thumbs up because she loves it. You just put down your brand colors into that undraw website, and then all of those illustrations will sort of put that accent into the images. Okay, and they're going to look really nice and professional. Okay, so definitely check out undraw.co. Emailchecker.net/email extractor. Okay, if you have a those hollow list of emails and it's all got that gobbledygook, okay, I know a lot of data like that. So if you essentially want to extract all of the emails out of a piece of text, okay, go to this website, paste in that text with a load of emails in, and it's just going to give you a nice formatted list of those emails, okay, and then you can just take those, paste them into the CC section of an email, and they're all going to be formatted correctly, right? There's going to be none of that rubbish around it in the CC section. So yeah, list of emails, put them into email extractor, and you're just going to get a nice list of them. Quillbot.com, simply put, it's just paraphrasing. Okay, so if you have a piece of text, you want it to sound a little bit different, go into quillbot.com and it will paraphrase it for you. Okay, of course you can ask ChatGPT to do the same thing. Adobe.com, PDF to PPT. So Adobe.com, on there you can go there and you can actually convert PDFs to PowerPoint if you want to customize them. Okay, so that's just adobe.com and their PDF to PowerPoint converter. And then next one is Photopea. So Photopea is actually a free version of Photoshop. Okay, it's actually got pretty much all the functionality for free. It just runs with ads. Okay, so they've kind of ripped off Photoshop. They're monetizing it through ads. I mean, it's on the web browser. Okay, so you don't need to browse anything, download anything. You just go to photopea.com and you can use it for all of your sort of Photoshop needs. You got crop circle .image online. All that is you upload a picture, it's going to make it into a nice little circle. Okay, so if you want someone's headshot to look a bit nicer on your PowerPoint, I definitely recommend using crop circle .image online. That's going to make it look much more presentable, a little bit nicer. Okay. On top of that, if you want that headshot to look even nicer than that, use remove.bg, okay? Because remove.bg is going to remove the background, okay? So if I was to do my headshot maybe for the thumbnail of this talk, then we might use remove.bg, and you'll see that my coat then will be removed. You know, this picture, it's a nice Van Gogh picture, but it'll just get rid of the background and have me sort of nice and professional in the center, okay? So crop circle and remove BG, they're just really good for formatting headshots, making them look really nice in the talk. Okay. And brilliant. And that is my tech safari, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. I made a few changes and I'm looking forward to next year reviewing it again and seeing what tech is already out there. And I see 17 messages in chat. So I will stay behind if anyone wants to talk. However, I hope you do appreciate it. Has been lightning round. It's been really, really quick because I've got so many tools to actually go through. Yeah, brilliant. And Zena, do you want to say any final words?
Yeah, it's brilliant as always, Connor. We're over time. I know people are diving out to get to another new meetings, but do take a look at all the messages, Connor, because there's some everyone has loved this session. So appreciative. I know some people are dropping off, but there was one question that maybe you could answer, which is there an app for CRM?
CRM, yes, there's a few apps. Maybe I should have a CRM section. Oh, I think I did have a CRM section
Next
actually. I
year.
took it off. Yeah, it's so hard to decide what to include. Yeah, so Salesforce is the obvious one. There's also Pipedrive. So yeah, I'd say they're the big two. Okay, so once again, that's Salesforce and Pipedrive. What I would say, my personal perspective on CRM software is that a lot of them are very expensive. Okay, they do cost quite a bit of money. So what I say is Trello. So Trello, you remember the Kanban board. I would use that as a first prototype of a CRM if you haven't used one before. Okay, so go onto Trello, go onto the template section, and there will be CRM templates out there. Okay, and get started with that. If you find then that you have a lot more people being added to it and you need to manage them a little bit more, then consider the investment of a Salesforce or a Pipedrive. So that's my perspective. Those two are the big ones that I'd say are quite high functionality. However, get started Trello as a little experiment and invest more as you use it more, I would say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Connor. I think that was it for questions. There was also a request, could we share your slides? If that's something you're happy
Yeah,
for
no
us to
problem.
do.
Yeah. So I'll send them
Brilliant.
to you,
And
Zena.
I've
Yeah.
thank you. I've shared your email with everyone as well. So
Oh, brilliant.
thank you everyone for attending. If you do have any extra questions for Connor, please come off mute. He's happy to stick around, but we'll stop the recording there, Helen, if you can. But thank you very much again. Brilliant as always, Connor. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so any